It should come to a surprise to no one when I say Dr. Eric Berg, and I use the term doctor very loosely there, is a scam, a quack, and, for being quite honest, just a terrible person. I mean, seriously, a chiropractor moonlighting as a nutritionist and expert on all things medicine related? Come on, what are we doing here? There are literally an infinite number of more qualified people out there to provide this advice, and yet for some reason, people put their faith in this jerk. Let's start by focusing on the obvious here. A chiropractor has no business providing diet and nutrition advice, let alone calling themselves a doctor. This would be akin to someone who has a Ph.D. in art history providing pediatric care advice. Even if they knew what they talked about, it would likely A, be secondhand information, and B, something you would want to check with a real expert on. Yet legions upon legions of people take what this chiropractor says about diet and daily living and all of that other stuff as some sort of medical gospel, despite the fact he's woefully unqualified. That's not really surprising, all things considered. People are fucking stupid these days. I mean, the people supporting Eric Berg are probably the ones also buying stuff from Bell and Howell on television ads and sending campaign donations to a presidential candidate who is shorter than Woodrow Wilson's second wife. That, by the way, is a very real thing. Anyway, Dr. Eric Berg is a scam, a quack, and a terrible person, and here is why. There are several good videos already published on YouTube about why Dr. Eric Berg is a quack, and we'll link to those in the description of this video. Long story short, what Eric Berg practices is more a form of pseudoscience than anything else. My personal favorite Berg video is his insistence that oregano will help you cure herpes. That logic was based on a 2007 study that concluded oregano did have properties to potentially cure herpes, but the quantity of oregano oil needed to do so was like ridiculously large. That is really just the tip of the iceberg. This guy has made numerous claims over the years that are an amalgamation of dubious logic, shady practices, a misunderstanding of the topics he's speaking about, and a desire to sell you crap. Speaking about selling you crap, Dr. Eric Berg is a scam, and I feel like just saying that doesn't convey how much of a scam this guy is running. He would even make those old-timey snake oil salesmen blush with how he tries to close deals. This video would be hours upon hours and perhaps even days long if I tried to cover every single example of this, but I want to touch on a few in particular. Now, look, I know what some of you are saying. How can Dr. Eric Berg be bad when so many people claim he's helped them, blah blah blah? Look, here's the deal. In every clinical trial, there are people who report placebos working. This does not mean that placebos have some sort of magical healing powers that can cure. It simply means that the people taking them have fooled themselves into thinking whatever they are taking works. This is the same principle that allows hypnotists to find employment even in this day and age. As mentioned with the oregano oil example we just mentioned a few minutes previously, what Eric covers just isn't based on any sort of real science or real proven medical knowledge. Instead, he likes to manipulate facts, and what makes that worse is that manipulation of facts tends to lead you, either directly or indirectly, to either buying his crappy products or buying his crappy programs. But I want to focus first on said products. Anyone, and I mean anyone, can actually make the supplements and vitamins and hair serums and all that stuff Eric Berg claims to produce. So I had first learned about OEM supplements through renowned dating loser Dan Bacon, the same Dan Bacon who once sent the Touchback a fake cease and desist letter. But let's not get sidetracked by that. For those who don't know, OEM stands for Original Equipment Manufacturer. These companies essentially make whatever products a person wants and then lets you slap your brand on them and charge horribly inflated prices. Sound familiar yet? Basically, all Eric does is order some OEM supplements online, or he goes and speaks to the manufacturer over the phone, tells them what they want, gives him the labeling and packaging he wants them to put on that, and then he takes it and he resells it at a huge markup. But let's make one thing perfectly clear here. Eric is not manufacturing, he's not producing, and he's not developing these supplements or any of the products that he happens to sell. They're not made or developed or any of that through Dr. Berg Nutritionals. How do I just happen to know that? Well, this guy pimps a keto electrolyte powder in raspberry lemon flavor for a comical and obscene amount of money on his website in Amazon. Here is the OEM version on Alibaba with a slightly changed name of raspberry lemonade flavor, but all of the details are the same. And you know how Dr. Berg likes to brag about his goods being GMP certified? Well, it just so happens this facility is GMP certified. What a coincidence. And you know, even more, you can do this for just about every product he sells, or at least every product I have looked on online, you will find an OEM version of it. Things don't get much better when you look at the products of Berg and their dodgy labeling. While every other supplement you will buy in a store has a very specific title that says who's behind it and their address, Berg just puts his name with an opaque developed and distributed claim. His company's name and address are actually totally unconnected to this. Suspicious much? By the way, that developed statement could mean anything, including he ordered it online from an OEM company, sent them his packaging, and then resold it. But hey, at least he's in charge of mailing it to you. Let's say I'm willing to cede to you the fact that a chiropractor can somehow be a nutritional expert. Hypothetically, of course, because I will surrender no such point. Anyway, Eric also shills for a number of different goods that would technically fall outside of the sphere of his quote-unquote keto and nutrition expertises. Here are a bunch of hair and beauty products he is also somehow qualified to recommend. No pills or other junk, mind you, but we're talking about oils and stuff you apply to the skin. Look, no one should be buying hair serum made by the same guy who produces vitamins. Like, that's ridiculous. It should really go without saying. Could you imagine walking into your nutritionist, asking him, all right, how can I get into better shape? What can I do to have a better diet? And then saying, oh, do you have any shampoos you can recommend? No, because that is freaking stupid. The reason you listen to a specialist is because they have expertise in a specific field. Your hair guy shouldn't be your supplements guy, let alone your chiropractor. Eric is a sucky human being. There's really no other way to put it, and there are countless examples of his suckiness floating around online. For starters, this Quack happens to be a Scientologist because of course he is, and he's been known to force that religion onto his employees. He would go on to fire an employee a few years back after demoting her and reducing her pay several times. This was all because she didn't attend Church of Scientology classes. Dr. Berg would staunchly fight this lawsuit until his son came forward confirming all of the allegations the lady who filed the lawsuit made. When that happened, Dr. Eric Berg settled so quickly, like lightning fast, because he didn't want that impacting his business. There is a pretty good article that sort of details this, and we'll link to that in the description of this video. But wait, there is more. In 2008, the Virginia Board of Medicine fined the not-so-good doctor $1,500 and ordered him to stop using and promoting a bunch of programs, including a fake muscle test. But wait, there is more. He's been caught using bait-and-switch advertising tactics to lure people into his Virginia clinic, only to hard sell them stuff they didn't want or need. Not only that, but he also refused to give refunds under any circumstance, with one gentleman in particular having to take him to the Better Business Bureau to get a partial, not even a full, but a partial refund. But wait, of course there's more. There is more. Eric put out this video on his YouTube channel once upon a time. It turns out he borrowed the idea from an article published by an acupuncturist who, for some reason, is also handing out food advice. Look, it's not quite Rick Debunks reading one of our articles from the Touchback word for word in a YouTube video, but this is just an example of plagiarism, and it's something that any English teacher in the world or any basic intro to TV professor would fail him for as plagiarism. There is a pattern of behavior here that simply cannot be ignored, and it all points to Dr. Eric Berger. I'm sorry, I'm not going to call you doctor. It all points to Eric Berg, if that is your real name, being a terrible person. How can Eric Berg get away with being a quack and a scam and a terrible person? Well, that answer is actually quite simple. When you peddle items that fall under the scope of the Food and Drug Administration, all you have to do after any statement is say, this claim has not undergone evaluation and/or testing by the FDA. Then you follow that up with something along the lines of, all claims are not intended to cure, treat, or prevent any medical condition. That is it. And those two sentences are plastered over any and everything that Eric Berg publishes, produces, puts out, whatever you want to call it. But my personal favorite is this little doozy from his website. Dr. Eric Berg Nutritionals attempts to be as accurate as possible. However, Dr. Eric Berg Nutritionals does not claim that any content of this website is accurate, complete, reliable, current, or error-free. Come on, really? You can't even say the content on your website is reliable? Why even bother publishing it in the first place? Oh, that's right, you're a scammer trying to bilk people out of money. It doesn't matter what you write, it doesn't matter what you publish, it doesn't matter what you say in your videos, it doesn't matter what terrible advice you promote. As long as it makes you money, that is all you care about, isn't it, Eric? Look, at the end of the day, if you're looking for supplements, you can find the exact same ones Eric Berg puts out for much less anywhere out. And hell, you can even make them and sell them yourselves. And if you're looking for medical advice, there are numbers, gobs and heaps, and just a huge amount of reliable, high quality advice from real nutritionists and real doctors out there. All you have to do is look for it. And I recommend you to look for it and to maybe exercise some critical thinking along the way. Or don't, what do I care? Anyway, this is the Touchback, and until next time, hashtag take it out to the 25.